In this car market that is in such a disaster right now, what do we see? We see
Stellantis has announced that it will be laying off more than 1,000 employees.
the biggest loser right now in the whole situation is Stellantis.
Stellantis did announce the layoffs are due to the poor market conditions.
It's a lot of problems for the two most reliable brands right now in the car market.
Federal regulators claim millions of Hondas and Acuras are shutting down.
Some Toyota owners will be getting a brand new engine.
Seems like every 2 days that I open up the internet and look up something that revolves around Jeep, Dodge, or Ram.
Another 1,000 employees will be laid off.
It's not the market, it's mismanagement.
We have another round of layoffs.
It's bad management and a whole lot more.
All right, so check this out behind me. I'm at a Toyota dealership, and this whole line right here of Tacomas, and they have $6,000 off because it's a Land Cruiser. They're taking $4,000 off. Inventory levels are going up, even at highly desirable brands, just like here at Toyota. See here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is $144,000. Seeing more and more of this. Here's just another example at this Ford dealership lot. It was $67,000. And in Ford's case, let me show you another example of what's happening right here. You remember these? What are these? These are Broncos. These are big body Broncos. 12 months ago, couldn't find them. Dealer markups everywhere. And this dealership, they have tons of them. They have them sitting everywhere. They go all the way down that way. And I just recently was at another dealership. Look at this right here. They had about 50 Broncos, these big body Broncos, not the sports, but the big ones that you couldn't find. They had them stacked all over their dealership, collecting dust. And you know what? Let's look. Here's a Bronco right here. I can almost guarantee this is a 2024. Yep. 2024 Badlands edition. We're at the end of 2024 right now, and every manufacturer right now is having to deal with this situation that this Ford dealership is dealing with right now.
Stellantis is now forced to cope with having too much inventory.
We're at the end of 2024. 2025s are coming in, and they're coming in right now. What are they going to do with these Broncos? Well, the manufacturers, they're not adding enough incentives to be able to lower the price enough to move these vehicles. So where's the money going to come off? Because these vehicles have to be more competitive than the 2025s that they have rolling in. You can't have the same price 2025 and a 2024 sitting right next to each other, because that consumer, they're not buying the 2024. They're going to buy that 2025 that's coming in. And these dealerships, they need to get these 2024s off their lots. And we've seen it from Ford, we've seen it from Stellantis dealers, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, we've seen it from Nissan dealers now. They're screaming to their manufacturer to add incentives to help them move these vehicles, and they're not doing enough. They're doing some, they're doing more, but they're not doing enough right now. So where does the money have to come from? Well, it's got to come from this dealership. It's got to come from their bottom line, and that's how they're going to move metal. That's the only way they're going to be able to do it. They're going to have to lower their prices, and that's what we're seeing a lot of dealerships do right now, because they're in panic mode, because they have to move all of these 2024s before these 2025s are coming into the system, or they're going to have an inventory nightmare that they have to deal with. Remember, Ford, they're going to keep pumping these dealerships' vehicles. Allocations are coming. These dealerships, they have to prepare for it. The only way they can do that, move cars. How are they going to move cars? They got to lower the prices. And it's so bad right now at Jeep, Dodge, and Ram that what we're seeing is that they have cut their production by 200,000 vehicles in the last quarter of this year.
The automakers' profits are down almost 50% compared to this time last year.
That is a massive number for them to say, you know what, people aren't buying, so we can't make them. This is just really the starting point, I feel like, because we haven't seen any major announcements like this out of the big automakers saying, okay, people aren't buying, we can't make them. This is a 200,000 vehicle cut, and we can see why. Trucks sitting everywhere. But there's going to be 200,000 less of them coming out this last quarter. They're going to try to keep their margins high, try not to have to cut prices, and this is the way that they're going to do it. But I don't think that it's going to matter because of how many trucks are sitting on these dealership lots. And it's not just new trucks that are coming out. Lots of these are 2024s, and in a lot of cases, you can see on dealership lots that they still have a lot of 2023 trucks, 2-year-old, two birthdays. That's too long for a truck to sit on a dealership lot, just sitting there rotting away. And check this out, it's a Bronco Sport. We're seeing more and more of this. This is a brand new one, and usually you don't see advertised prices that get slashed down to $27,997, MSRP $36,000. $36,000. That's an $8,000 drop on this vehicle. $8,000? $9,000, somewhere around there. Somebody else do math. Anyway, you haven't been able to see that in the car market, and it's absolutely insane to see the price drops that we're seeing coming through. I mean, we're seeing lots and lots of vehicles get price cuts right now. It's coming from Jeep, Dodge, and we're seeing everything in Stellantis is getting cut right now. You can get deals. Ford is another big one. They're oversupplied and they're going to have to cut their prices. And where's it coming from? It's coming from the dealers, because the manufacturers, they made wrong choices, but who's got to hold the bag? It's the Ford dealers. And if things needed to get any worse for Ram, well, now what do you think of when you think of recalls? Well, usually you think of Ford. Ford is generally the leader of recalls, but what has happened now? Well, Ram has now overtaken the leaderboard. They wanted to be first in something. I get it. I know you want to win. But Ram, this is not the place where you want to win. Now they are the #1 most recalled brand right now in the market, and that's Stellantis. And it's a bad look for a brand or a group of brands that already is having a hard time selling vehicles. So now you have the perception, maybe the reality, of trash trucks that they're putting out. Nobody's going to buy. So I'm going to show you something real quick. That says program vehicle, that says program vehicle, that says program vehicle. And all the way down until you get to the Hummer EVs down there, they're all program vehicles. What does this mean? Well, I talked to a salesperson, and as I assumed, these were all service loaner fleet cars. So what does that mean? That means these cars were most likely being sold for retail. They had a hard time moving them, and I mean, a lot of them are Buicks, and Buicks have been some of the slowest selling vehicles on the market right now. And what has happened is, for a dealership to be able to gain more allocations, what they have to do is they have to turn and burn cars. What that means is they have to sell cars to be able to get other cars from the manufacturer to replace them. So if a dealership like this one wants to continue to get the same amount of vehicles at a constant rate, they have to sell at a constant rate. But if we go through a slow time where a dealership maybe can't move as many vehicles, well, then dealerships can get creative. And a way to show sales on their books is to move vehicles to service loaner fleet, which is, I'm assuming, what happened to those vehicles back there. They're able to show their manufacturer that they were able to sell cars, and they are able to get the same amount of cars in to their facility, just so when sales do pick back up, they have inventory ready to be sold. It can be smart on a dealership, from a dealership standpoint, to be able to do this, or it could also be a double-edged sword, because if you do this too many times, then you can get overrun with inventory that you have on your floor plan, and then at that point, it's going to be basically a nightmare to be able to get all this inventory out of your system while you still have new inventory coming in. So anyway, that's one lever that a dealership can pull to be able to show sales, to make sales, and still get more allocations, even when times are a little bit slower. But these mechanisms are things that dealers do to be able to keep their inventory flowing, because you always want to have new inventory coming in. You don't want to have a lot of stale inventory. The new inventory is the inventory that's usually going to sell, and the stale inventory is usually inventory that continues to sit until you make the price low enough. So check this thing out right here. I'm at a Toyota dealership right now, and even some of the most highly desirable vehicles that you find on the market is a Land Cruiser. They're taking $4,000 off. I mean, it's unreal. You haven't seen any Toyota dealerships in the last year really have to move anything off of any vehicle. And now we're seeing more and more of this, and it's going to continue because inventory levels are going up, even at highly desirable brands, just like here at Toyota. So facing this this car market where people want more affordable trucks, what has Jeep Dodge Ram done? Well, they had a cheapish kind of truck in this market. Say in this market, it was about $50,000, but it was the Ram 1500 Classic, and it's the cheapest thing that you could have found in a Ram truck. So what did they do? They make more of them because we need cheaper trucks in this market? No, they discontinued it. So now one of the cheapest trucks is going to be something like this, the 1500 e-Torque. We know how good that is. And you're going to pay $52,000 plus your dealer markups. It's going to be $56,000. But the cheaper one, the Classic 1500, that was the most affordable truck that that Jeep Dodge Ram could provide to you. Nah, they didn't make enough money on that, so it's gone. And then when it's gone, people lost their jobs. They cut some shifts. But what did they not cut shifts on? Same plant, Grand Wagoneer. They had multiple shifts of the Grand Wagoneer, multiple shifts making the Ram 1500 Classic, and well, they said, you know what? I know what people want. They don't want a cheaper truck. No, they don't want that. They want a Grand Wagoneer. They need that thing sitting in their parking lot. That's a status symbol that this white truck right here, it can't fill. So we need that Grand Wagoneer out to all these families. And guess what? That's where all your negative equity is. Grand Wagoneers, these mid-size, these big SUVs. That's where a lot of your negative equity is showing up right now. Not on the trucks. Not on the trucks. It's the family, the grocery getters. Especially that Grand Wagoneer. That thing's huge. And like $120,000. Yeah, that's what people want. They know. Yeah, Stellantis knows. All right, so check this out. This looks like a problem to me. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these EV Hummers. And this one is $144,000. This one right here is $96,000, but you just got a full row of these things. This is the first time I've ever seen this. And here's the thing. I love this dealership. This dealership group is my favorite of all the dealership groups I've ever been to. During the crazy times, they never put on one market add-on. They don't have they didn't have any market adjustments when they could have. They don't have any add-ons now when they probably could have. All these other dealerships charge them, but they don't. I've sat down with one of their franchise managers, and he had an open, honest discussion with me. I love what ownership does. I love everything about this dealership. But here we go. This looks like a problem to me. And it's not this dealership's fault. Maybe, okay, they had a lot of orders for these EV Hummers and they thought that they could sell them, and it just didn't happen. One thing that's curious to me, one thing I've never seen before, and I might need to ask them about it, but all the time I'll see like stickers for these vehicles being for sale, right? You see $96,000 for this Hummer, but not often do I see, okay, well, you can lease it for this too. And I think that's just an added thing that this dealership is doing to try to move metal in any way it can. And when you have all of this sitting here and all of this money sitting here, sitting on your floor plan, you need to do anything you can to move it, whether it's sell it, whether it's lease it. And they're very transparent about their pricing. They show up front. Okay, I mean, this one's $144,000. Yeah, here we go. I don't know if you can see it through the tent, but it's $154,000. So they go ahead and throw out on the window that they're taking $10,000. Now it's a $144,000 vehicle. So take that with a grain of salt. But just to show you that this is a good dealership, they do good things. I've recommended this dealership, but even the greatest dealerships, they can misstep. And this, to me, maybe not. I need to ask them about it, but this looks like a misstep. Looks like they pizzaed when they should have French fried. You might not understand that reference, but some people out there are going to understand it, and they're not going to have a good time. Here's just another example at this Ford dealership lot. It was $67,000, and now it's $64,000. Still way too much, and only $3,000 off the price. Not even that. It was like what, $2,600, whatever it is. Still not enough off of these vehicles, but it's got to come from the dealership. It's a start. We haven't had dealerships having to take money off of vehicles in a very long time, and this is the market flip that we're wanting, and we're wanting to see it, but we're wanting to see it faster. And it's going to catch up to a lot of these dealerships. It's going to catch up to a lot of these manufacturers. They have to lower prices if they want to get butts in seats. That's the only way it's going to happen. All right, so check this out behind me. I'm at a Toyota dealership, and this whole line right here of Tacomas. And what did you have a hard time with really any Toyota over the last 12 months? But now Toyota, we have a truck problem. We have a truck problem in the form of these Tacomas. We have a truck problem in the form of these Tundras. And in the Tundra case in particular, it's the motors. Even though the motors right now are fixed, they fixed the problems going through the system where the motors would implode on themselves. Well, now it's up to perception. Now a lot of people think that the motors are terrible on these Tundras that are coming out, and it's forcing them, but it's causing them not to buy. So every Toyota dealership I go to, the salespeople tell me the same thing. All the motors in the Tundras are absolutely fine, but customers still come to them and say, okay, I'm worried about this motor because of everything that I've heard in the media, everything that I've heard on YouTube talking about this. Toyota knew this, and what are they known for? They're known for reliability. So what did they do? They took all of these cars, they recalled them, all these trucks, they recalled them, and they replaced the motors. Good on Toyota for that. That cost Toyota a lot of money to do that, but that perception still holds. And this is why you're seeing all of this right here, and this is why you can go to any Toyota dealership across the country. You see trucks. They are stacking up. They wish they had a RAV4 problem. That's what people want to buy. They don't want to buy these Tacomas, they're too much. They don't want to buy the Tundras, they're too much. They're also worried about the motors. So these Toyota dealers, they're having to deal with an inventory crisis, and it's on their truck end. You never think you would put those two words together, Toyota and inventory crisis. That's never been a thing, but now it is, and it's because of the direction of what the companies chose with these trucks. The V6 turbos. It's not what people want. And even your most highly sought after brands in the car market, you think a dealership like this is Honda. We have a Toyota store way down there. Honda, in the last 30 days, their day supply of inventory has gone up by 14 days. That is a massive number for a manufacturer to have their day supply of inventory at these dealerships to go up by 14 days in just 1 month. And we can see it. We see it, I mean, right before us here at this Honda dealership. A couple months ago, I come here, there's almost no vehicles, and just like that, inventory stacking up. Production coming out of these manufacturers is not good for the price points from this dealer standpoint, but it's good for the consumer. More vehicles in the system, more vehicles sitting on this Honda dealership lot right here means that you can get a better deal, means that you don't have to pay add-ons, means that you don't have to pay anything extra that you don't want to pay for. You can get vehicles under MSRP right now, and you can see it. You can see it right here. And the one bright spot in the whole car market right now seems to be GM. So they just reported their earnings and their numbers were fantastic. And it seems like they're doing something right when everyone else is really just fumbling and doing all the wrong things. But even with them doing what seems like is such a great thing and their stock price is reflecting it, even so, they're still having to lay off people. So they recently they just released that they're going to have to do some layoffs, and this is coming from, okay, dealerships, while they're selling vehicles, they might still be having a hard time moving as much metal as the manufacturer GM is able to get to them. So here's the thing, when production has to cool off a little bit, jobs have to be lost, and this is a thing even in the darling of the car market right now in GMC. We're still seeing that there are some struggles to be had. They can put up great numbers, but maybe we still have to back off on the amount of vehicles that we get to dealers because the consumer is not strong right now.